So you want to add a receptacle or a light switch or a light fixture, but you don't know where to tap into power. I'm going to show you the easiest way, and it'll only cost you a couple of dollars. Today we're going to make a junction box. A junction box is simply an electrical box where two or more electrical connections come together. All electrical splices within a home must come together inside a junction box. It must be in an accessible place, and it must have a cover. Since most houses, whether they're built on a slab or a crawl space or a basement, have some sort of wiring in their attic, that's where we're going to install a junction box. Before you do any electrical work, I recommend you purchase one of these. This is an electrical tester. You can pick these up in any home center for $15 to $25. There are all sorts of brands. This one's a Southwire. I know they make Klein and Commercial Electric, probably Fluke. But this little thing could save your life. The way it works is simple. You just turn the power on, the light turns green. When this little probe here comes in contact with electricity, the light turns red. I'm not sure if they all work that way. Read the instructions, but that's how this one works. So let me show you. No power, power. And when you test, you actually need to test both sides of the cable, because a lot of times it only picks up the hot side. Like this is where the black wire would be, and on this side is probably the neutral wire. Not as sensitive on that side. So make sure when you're testing for power, you rub all over the wire. The first thing we want to do is find some constant power. We'll start by turning off all the light switches in the house, because switched power is not constant power. Now we'll take our electrical tester and go up in the attic. So we're in the attic. Let's see if we can find us some constant power. See some wires over here. Turn this on. Nope. Nope, nothing there. So those are obviously switched circuits. And if I look over there, you can see a can light, which is turned off. And I think there's probably, yep, another can light over there. And this white wire, I think, goes under there to another light underneath the floor in here. Let's try this side over here. Oh yeah. All of these are constant power. So now that we've found our constant power, we're going to go down to the basement and turn the breaker off. So there is no power going to the cable that you want to tap into. There's a chance that this wire might be very tight and you can't pull slack from either side. If that's the case, you're going to need to use two electrical boxes. Let's say this is the new wire I have coming from my new outlet or light fixture or whatever, and I need to tie it into power. And this is the cable I've chosen, and I've tested it and made sure it's constant power and it's not on a switch, and I just went and I turned the breaker off or pulled the fuse to it so that there's no electricity going to it. And now I test it, rubbing both sides of the wire really good. Now I'm sure that this has no power. Now we're going to tap into it. Just cut the wire right in the middle. Now here I have two electrical boxes, 38 cents a piece. I'm going to bust open one of the back wire entry points. These are not self-clamping boxes. There'll be more on that at the end of the video. And I'm going to feed this wire up into there and simply nail it to the joist. Same thing on the other side. Bust one in, feed the wire in there. We'll do this one from this side. and nail it to the joist. Now I'm not nailing these all the way because this is just for an example. So now what I want to do is connect the cable that is going to whatever my new device is that I'm wanting to power. So I bust out another hole and I feed that wire in there, which I could have done this before I mounted the box. Now I have my new device and I have what was my old line that I've tapped into. Since these are not self-clamping boxes, all the wires should be stapled within 12 inches of the box to prevent the wires from pulling out. So now, say my power is coming from this direction, the breaker is downstream this way, or is that upstream? Say the breaker is upstream this way, and everything down this way is now without power because there is no electrical connection there. Now I need to get power from this box to this box. So I'll simply cut another wire and run it through. So now I go in the same hole I went in with this other wire. You can put so many wires through each hole, and these are small 14 gauge wires, so I can put 2 through the same hole, or I can punch out another one if I wish. And then I measure about how much I need to get in my other box. Say right there. Cut it. And I come in over here. So I have my new connection. I have my connection from one box to another, and I have the main power that I cut here. Now all we do is we strip the wires and hook all the light colors to light colors. I'm going to use my Romex stripper. Peel back the insulation. Now you see I have all my wires black, ground, and white. Now we're going to strip those. Now, so we'll use push connectors on this side just to show you how they work. And then we'll use wire nuts on the other side. In this case, you would need the type of push connector that has 2 ports in it for this side. We'll just go ahead and push connect our grounds together. You'll see how fast this is. You can make a junction box in no time like this. And we'll hook our neutrals or our whites together. Pull this over this way. White, white, and then we'll hook our blacks together. Now I've actually cut those wires, I stripped those wires a little too long there. With these push-in connectors, you only want to strip them about a 1/2 inch. And I went a little long, so I just cut it back a little bit. Push those in. So you can see these are fully seated. The copper goes all the way to the top in there. Simply fold those up, push them down inside, and that box is ready for a cover. Now let's go to this box, which we're going to wire nut. Wire nuts come in all sizes, and how many wires you use and what gauge they are determines which wire nuts you use. So if you buy a box like this, this had both the yellow and the red in them. On the back, they say the gauges of wire and the amount you can put in there. So this is yellow. The yellow holds 1 to 3 number 12s, 1 to 3 number 14s, 2 to 4 number 18s. All right, what we're working with is 14. So we could use the yellow because we just have 3 wires for each connection. But we only have 1 yellow in there, I think. That's not a yellow. It's a red and yellow waterproof connector. So we're going to use the red. Okay, that is a yellow one, but it's used and it's covered in paint. It's the red. And the red, they're larger, and they hold 2 to 3 number 10s. Well, let's just skip that and get down to the 14. 2 to 6 number 14s. One for the blacks, one for the neutrals, and one for the grounds. Now to do this the right way, before we put the nuts on, we actually want to twist the conductors, grounds, whatever, together. Feel free to debate this in the comments. So, let's separate them. Get all our blacks together. Get all our whites together. And get all our grounds together. We'll start with the grounds. Get them all about the same length. Now this isn't super important. You can cut them. A lot of people don't even wire nut the grounds, but it is best to wire nut them. See, I've got those twisted together. Now I'm going to cut them all even. Nice even cut there. And I'm going to twist the wire nut on. Nice and tight. And I'll even twist it so hard it keeps twisting the wires. Alright, now we'll do our blacks. Get them all even. Get our linesman's pliers. Investing in a decent pair of linesman's pliers is a great idea. I've never actually invested in a pair. I found these on the side of the road, I think. Seems like most of my pliers I found on the side of the road. This is probably the trickiest part about the whole thing. There we go. Get those twisted together. Nice and snug. And snip the strays off there. Like that. And wire nut it. And let those wires twist together. Now we'll do the whites. Alright, just take all those wires and carefully fold them down into the box. And that one's ready for a cover. So all electrical boxes must have a cover. This is just simply a white blank cover with a couple of screws that goes with it. Let's speed up the process a little bit here. And that's it. That's how you create 2 junction boxes if you don't have any slack in the wire you're tapping into. So here's our power coming from the breaker into this box, spliced back together with a connector that goes to this box that connects to the continuing power to the rest of the outlets and to our new power going to whatever device we're powering with it. Now if you have slack in your original wire, you got it easy. We started with the worst case scenario. Now we're going to show you how to do it if you can pull some slack in your wire. Alright, starting over. Now let's imagine this is your wire. It's dead. You're ready to tap into it. But this one, you've managed to pull some slack into it. If you can't pull it easily, don't pull it. You don't want to put any strain on any other connections. In this case, you've got it easy. Just imagine it going down into a box. Your box is going to be sitting here. The holes are going to be under here. So that, if you can pull your wire into a loop like that, then you're ready. Simply cut the wire, get your box, put both of those wires in there, and nail it to your joist. Then, whatever device you were wanting to splice into that, pull that in there as well. Then you simply strip the wires and wire nut them. Get all the grounds together. Get all the whites together. Get all the blacks together. Wire nut them. Nice and tight. Fold them down in there. Very carefully. Don't kink them too much. Put your cover on. And voila! So now you've got your junction box with your source power coming from your breaker, and then the power going out to whatever it was feeding originally, and going out to whatever it's feeding additionally now. What was that? 5-minute junction box? So that's it. Well, not quite. So this video was meant to be a supplement to this video right here, but it kind of got rolling and took off on its own and is actually one of my more viewed videos at the moment. So this is a re-upload of the original video, and the reason I'm breaking in here is because in the original video I was probably not as thorough as I should have been, because I was trying to get the video out quickly to supplement this other video, and some viewers had some very valid comments to some things I overlooked to mention or some safety concerns. So now I want to address those really quickly in this re-upload. First thing I want to mention is that the wires need to be secured so that they don't pull out of the electrical box or the junction box. Now, some boxes are self-clamping, and when you put the wire in, it pushes a clamp open and then it won't let you pull the wire back out. It's sort of like a barbed connection. The boxes I used in this video are not that type. They only have knockouts. Some people said, you know, you're not supposed to knock those all the way out. The boxes I used in this video do only have knockouts. They are not the self-clamping type. So in that case, I should have mentioned you must staple the wires going into the box within 12 inches of the box. So everywhere there's a wire going into one of those boxes needs to have a staple within 12 inches of it going into the box so the wires don't pull out. Obviously, if the wires pull out, it could cause arcing, fire concern, that sort of thing. Secondly, wire size. When you're patching in new wire for your junction box, you always want to use at least the same thickness of wire or greater than the wires that are already in there. You actually want to size your wire according to your breaker. Wire thickness is done in gauge. We're not going to get too deep into that right now, but the smaller the gauge number, the thicker the wire. So when someone says go up a wire size, going up a wire size might be going from 14 to 12, not vice versa. 12 is thicker wire than 14. So when you go to find your breaker, when you find the breaker that operates the circuit that you've chosen, that you think will be good for your new connection, notice what amp the breaker is rated at. It'll say 15 amp, 20 amp, or whatever. Use 14 gauge or thicker wire for 15 amp, 12 gauge or thicker for 20 amp. Also, dedicated circuits. If you picked a wire you want to tap into and you go down to the panel and you see that the panel is labeled specifically washer, dryer, disposal, microwave, refrigerator, something very specific, that is a dedicated circuit. You don't want to tap into those. You're looking for circuits that maybe say master bedroom, bedroom 1, bedroom section, some sort of general electrical circuit. If it's dedicated, don't tap into it. If you're looking at a 10 gauge wire or something that might feed a dryer or something like that, or an AC system, don't tap into that. You're looking for general branch circuits. What else? Very importantly, electricity is dangerous and you're doing this at your own risk. Also, you might have specific local codes that I'm not aware of. All the advice I'm giving you here is related to where I live in the United States. And in my particular area, we can get homeowners exemptions for doing any sort of work, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, remodeling, everything you want to do in your house, we can get an exemption for here. But a lot of places have to be permitted, have to have professionals do this kind of work. So you might want to look into that in your area. Some work even here with the homeowners exemption, I have to get permitted as well. And I actually have an open permit on my house, so I'm allowed to play with it. Also, the junction boxes I used in this video were just mock-ups. Those cables did not actually go anywhere, and I had to keep pulling them out and putting them back in for the demonstration. So about the staples, I was kind of being lazy about that, and I didn't want to have to pull out a whole bunch of cable staples. But I was thinking somebody's going to say something about these staples or the wire pulling out of the box when I was doing it. The circuits in this video I'm talking about are radial circuits. This is not like in the UK or maybe some other countries where they use ring circuits. So you might be in an area where you use a very small gauge wire and you arrange your system differently. Here in the US, we size our breakers according to our wire size. Our breakers trip when the load reaches 80% of the breaker's amp rating. So as long as you use the appropriate wire size, like 12 gauge wire is rated for 20 amps, 14 gauge wire is rated for 15 amps. The amount of circuits isn't so important as long as you don't exceed that. If you do exceed the amp rating of the breaker will start tripping and you'll know, hey, I need to separate some of these and add a new breaker. That's how it works where I am, and it'll be obvious. And you turn something big on, blender, whatever, all of a sudden you lose power. If that starts happening, then you want to add another circuit. What else? I just remembered, if your attic has some sort of permanent access like a ladder or stairs, you need to put down something to protect the wires. This can be as simple as using 1x strips, furring strips along each side of your Romex to keep people from stepping on it or getting pinched or somehow mechanically damaged. So hopefully I've covered all the concerns, but definitely do go down and read the comments and read the description, because if anybody points out anything important that maybe I've still overlooked, I'm sure I've forgotten something. It'll be in the comments, or if I think it's important enough, I will probably go back and add it in the description of this video. As always, any suggestions or improvements are welcome in the comments. Thanks again for watching.